CNN and MSNBC 24 hours a day, flogging that story. All you have to do is look back a couple of weeks in time, Simon, and see how the New York Times and everybody else treated the leak of these partial and misleading tax documents from the president's station.
William Joseph Lynch was born in June the 24th, 1962, and grew up on this farm 3 miles east of Reading.
I'm Deborah D. Kimry Lynch, and I was born October 5th of 1963, and I grew up in Blockton, Iowa. I remember growing up on the south side of the house we moved into when I was 5 or 6 was on the south side of the park in Blockton. And my best friend at the time lived on the east side of the park. And we'd meet and play in the park. And I remember we were riding our bikes. There was a big cement slab in the park, and we were riding around and around in circles. And she wrecked her bike. But I needed to go and check to make sure she was okay. But I didn't get quite stopped in time, and her arm was laying out, and I just ran over it. But I think it was the fall. It wasn't me, because it was just my front tire. Always, every year there was a Blockton reunion, big celebration in the park, and it was always nice because we lived just right across the street.
Oh, we had an old red milk cow with a crooked tail, and my brother would milk that cow for the family. And he would, if I happened to be out there when he was milking, he would try to squirt me with milk, and of course, you know how that went. Of course, my brother was 16 years older than me, so he was kind of ornery to me. I don't know, by the time I got bigger, the mini bikes and motorcycles came in, so I kind of got to do that. Too busy working on the farm all the time to get involved too much. That just wasn't what my dad was all about and everything else. And it was 12 miles to Mount Air from my place. And I was in FFA, of course, but basically, you know, going to town was just an excuse to go run around with your friends and stuff, I guess. But
I was involved in softball, and we even played softball in the fall too. And then later in my last 2 years of high school, we played volleyball. But in basketball, I was involved in that. I remember I worked. I mowed yards and walked beans a lot. Many acres of beans walked. You go ahead. You tell. The Blockton reunion. Okay, I'm at the Blockton reunion. Big thing every year. I'm on the Ferris wheel. Yes, in the park in Blockton, they had a Ferris wheel. And I was with my friend that I broke her arm, but she still liked me by the time we were in high school. And so she knew these two guys, and I didn't, but she said, let's go ride the Ferris wheel with them. Okay, not a big deal. We get on the Ferris wheel. Yeah, these guys had been at a bachelor party, we found out later. My mom comes, and you've met Mom, and she thought they were carnival men that had brought the carnival to town. And she's getting irate, and along comes Bill. That's how we met.
That's how we met.
Yeah. Bill came to the rescue and calmed my mom down. Might not be the only time you did that, is it?
Tried.
But he came back to the reunion the next night.
Well, sure, and you got to be the queen. Yeah, I was smitten. Anyway.
But that's August, and Bill's pretty quiet, so.
Yeah. So it took me quite a while to get up enough courage to ask her out on a date. Went to Elston to dance. Back then they had dances about every weekend, someplace or other.
He says I proposed to him. Might as well tell.
I don't think you
right
proposed
out.
to me. I think it was just a mutual thing.
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get married.
Yeah.
That's kind of it's about
driving
time.
Down the road, and you said, "Well, what do you think about this day?" Well, sure, that'd
sure.
be fine.
I think I'm gonna graduate from college,
right.
so should we get a ring now? Sure.
Well, I think it was
Well, that would have been 84.
84. Yeah.
August of 84. We got married out in Mom and Dad's
Outdoors.
yard.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the park. They pulled out the gazebo, put it on skids, and pulled it out into the yard, and set up chairs. And I woke up that morning, and Mom said, "Oh," she came and got me up. She says, "It's raining." I thought, "Holy buckets! How we've planned, and now our church was torn up, so we weren't even going to be able to have it in the church if the rain." Then just kidding. It was a beautiful day. It was a little windy during the day. And then we got married at 6:30, and about 5, the wind just died down.
Like I said, I farmed with my dad. It was kind of a family deal. Like I said, my brother farmed some down the road a ways, and then my brother-in-law, my sister and my brother-in-law came back and farmed with Dad some. Working cattle, that was always a kind of a family affair too, and we'd have to sell calves. Back then we just took them off the cow. Start first thing in the morning before it was even daylight and get everything planned out and round them up and go to the different patches and do it all, and we'd end up finishing up underneath the yard light. It's just basically all I've ever known. I grew up on that farm, and it was just my life. That's what we did. We just farmed, and I just couldn't imagine doing anything else, I guess. Had the opportunity and just kind of stuck with it because it was just kind of in your blood, I guess. That's just what I wanted to do. First crop that we had when we was married, we still used that same old combine that Dad had bought brand new in 1969. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
This is a 2-row gleaner.
There was no buddy seat, so I don't remember.
No, there wasn't any buddy seat. Yeah, I don't think you ever did ride in it
I'm
with
not
me.
sure I did.
But
I graduated from college in 1985, and it was, getting married, and who are you marrying? And a farmer. Oh, you're marrying a farmer?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the best of times to be getting into the farm, to be
wasn't.
Marrying a farmer. Time to make the Jell-O because it wouldn't have. I tried to always have something for you to eat so that you could come inside and eat lunch.
Between feeding me all the time and you do the books.
Oh yeah, I did the books. I did.
You've always
kind of let Zach do that.
Yes,
now.
but back then
I do
you
pay
always
the bills.
Did, you always
paid
did
the
all
bills
kept track of the books and everything like that, so I tried to drag it in and I let you spend it.
Yeah. No, you spend it too,
I
but
did.
you, yeah.
Keep track of it.
Bill didn't want me to get a job. He said a farm has enough going on that I need a farm wife. You can just be at home. And, well, I wanted to teach. And, of course, it was in 85, and you needed 2 incomes.
It's pretty easy for her to talk me out of that because she just was having a hard time making it anyway. Mm-hmm. So
I got offered a job, well, actually in Clearfield, and then I went and interviewed and got a job offer in Lenox. I liked working in Lenox. It's a nice community, and
well, at the time we had John Deere combines, so you could pick up parts for me a lot of times.
So I was in Lenox for 5 years, and then I got the job in Mount Ayr and was there for 29 years. And then I retired and finally became Bill's farm wife that he's wanted for all these years. There is quite a bit goes on around here.
Yeah.
You know what, Zach? Do you know? There's the Christmas program from hell.
Yeah.
Oh my, he was busy little boy. Preschool Christmas program. And he's up there, and oh, he's so cute. He's got his little cardigan sweater on, these corduroy pants. And he's got a star on a tongue depressor. And he's just singing, and when the song's over, the teacher comes along and takes them. Well, Zach just kind of sticks it inside his cardigan sweater. I did you know? I don't remember if we noticed that.
Oh, I did. I was filming all this stuff,
Next thing we know, the teacher's coming down. She's leaning down, asking each one of their names, and he just takes that stick out and pulls up her dress and looks underneath it. And yeah, he was.
And
then
at him.
I glared at him, gave him the teacher/mom glare, And he just put his foot on the stage and he went like that right back at me and did it right back. Oh, everybody laughed. And my mom said at the time, "You'll laugh about this someday."
You did.
I said, "Oh, I never will. I never." I bawled. He had me in tears when we left.
Look up, look up.
She would go to dance.
Yeah, she liked that.
She liked that and stuff. But man, she didn't leave my side.
Taylor fell off of the sled or something, and we were just laughing and carrying on. Well, she didn't think it was so funny, and her boot fell off, and we were just having so much fun. I wasn't doing a very good job of putting her boot back on, and she got mad at me because I don't even know how to put on a boot. Because I got snow in her boot, and oh yeah.
Before you go, anytime you're on a farm, before you go on vacation, if you have livestock, it's just a mad dash to try to get everything.
All cows all moved to the pasture where they had enough to eat. There's a lot more work going on vacation.
Yeah.
Getting ready to go for vacation, you were totally worn out by the time you got there, and you couldn't hardly enjoy it because you were too tired from getting ready to go.
They loved going to Colorado with my mom and dad and Mike and Donna and the kids.
Well, and then the one that we went and recreated this year, where we get to eat out of the back of the car and out of the cooler and stuff. I remember that one.
And it's so funny because we didn't really think that was any big deal, but that's what they remember about vacations, is we would pack the cooler when we left home. When my brother Mike came, he goes, "Hey, look at this place up here," and he pulled up through the driveway to this pasture right here, and he said, "Look, what if you put a house here?" I'm going, "Oh, yeah." Taylor was going into 4th grade, and Zach was going to be a freshman in high school. Taylor spent
that easel's still down there.
Upon hours playing school, like she's a school teacher. Well, on the easel it says.
Still does. It's still sitting down in that old house. "This is my home. I do not want to leave," or something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. And she laughs about it now, but that was
I didn't want to move either.
I know you didn't, but you
didn't
write it on the wall or anything.
No. The 1650 Oliver. When Dad bought it, I wished I had the owner's manual with me. Spring of '67, the date's written on there. I was a little kid back then, so I remember watching it and a 4-bottom plow come in on a truck and unload it in our driveway. And that was the first new tractor I ever saw. I kind of grew up on it. It was a big tractor back then. I sold the last pigs that I owned for my 42nd birthday, however long ago that's been. But I got up that morning and had probably a half of a gooseneck trailer full, and I just loaded them all up and took them to town and said happy birthday.
I carried the last pigs because we knew that he wasn't getting any more of them. We were carrying them from the nursery and putting them into the trailer because we were bringing them back home to feed.
Yeah.
And we went in there and you had to catch them, and like you said, it didn't really register with me at the time. It was just, hey, we're not going to raise pigs anymore. Okay. I went and helped wean and got to carry the last ones out whenever we did it.
That's just a family farm. My dad and me, we got along and we didn't get along sometimes. It's just one of those give and take things. And, same way with me and Zach, we get along pretty good most of the time. Sometimes we have different opinions, but for the most part, we agree on just about everything usually. But, that's just like any father and son, I'm guessing.
The best part about a family farm is the family, and the worst part about a family farm is the working with family. I mean, it just, it goes both ways because you don't get to go to Sunday dinner after you've butted heads all week and just be like, oh, hey, everything's good. But by the same token, there's always, there's a lot of things that you can fly by the seat of your pants on things, and you kind of know what the other person's done and everything, and it makes it, there's a lot of things that smooth out because you end up figuring out ways to complement each other, you know, with what you are good at or what you're not good at.
But the big one that I really changed everything, I think, was when we started no-tilling in 1983. Now that it was.
You know?
That was a game changer.
You know, we went, it was my second year out of college, we got that planter and we put the clutches on it and the precision, and then we went ahead. There for a while, there was a stretch where every year Dad said we'd change something on the planter, and it'd piss him off because he'd say he didn't know how to run it, and we changed something, and it wasn't. Like 3 years in a row, we tweaked one or two things, and he'd have to act like it was the end of the world. He'd have to relearn it.
The first two farms that I bought were kind of memorable because I bought the first one, that Austin place, north of the old home place, in 1989. It was the worst drought we'd had forever. Terrible drought. The year Zach was born.
I was going to say he remembers that because it was the drought. It was the year Zach was born.
Well, yeah, well, and I remember the drought because it was awful. I mean,
then
you remember having to siphon water out of ponds,
And then
do all.
the wet spring was the
When
year
we bought
Taylor
the
was
next
born.
farm, well, Taylor was born in '94,
but
we
yeah.
bought that in '93. Terrible floods that year, and I lacked 90 acres of getting it all planted. And my dad said that he'd never put a planter away without getting the whole farm planted, and that was the first for him too. He just couldn't believe that I had to put that planter up and lacked 90 acres of getting that 400 acres planted. So that was real memorable. Both of those were.
We farmed together, but everything was his stuff and my stuff. So, you know, everything was together, but it wasn't actually together. But this is the first year everything's been all pretty well split on all that stuff. That's made things a lot nicer because rather than, you know, us both doing the exact same thing, but doing it 10 miles apart or 20 miles apart, you know, we're doing the exact same thing, you know, in the exact same field, and it just,
More efficient.
a lot more efficient. It's been really good, like you said, for as odd as 2020's been so far. I mean, we've gotten along pretty good. We were done planting first week of May, and as long as something doesn't explode, we'll probably finish up on Halloween with harvest, and that's just about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it just
right.
doesn't get much better than
That's
that
right.
whenever you're doing the stuff we're doing.
Watching the guys together, I mean, we've always worked together, but like the year before last, I hauled in for Bill, and
Well, he was helping your dad.
and
So
Zach
we
was
just did our
helping
own
Dad
thing.
and doing their thing, and this year they kind of combined things, and it was probably, my heart swelled lots during this last harvest season because it was pretty neat watching them work together.
As far as being humbled, farming will just do that to you sometimes. Not every day. Something's going to humble you, it seems like.
The animals seem to do it a lot worse than
yeah.
anything else does.
Yep.
Just, I mean, this stuff is just plants. It grows, it dies, it doesn't die, whatever. Animals just make you look like a fool.
I guess if you want to get old-fashioned and philosophical sometimes, he's heard me say that before. My dad was born in 1916, so he grew up in the Depression. And he raised me like I was in the Depression, and then I got to live through the 80s.
So I got to be raised like everything's been the 80s since the 80s.
And you know, that's not all bad because there's some pretty lean years. There's been a lean year or two since you've been farming.
Yeah.
And it don't hurt to know about all that stuff to try to get through them. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and you don't want to. You want to keep a little nest egg around because there's always a lean year coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's fat years coming too, but you kind of got to even that out.
I don't know that there was ever a time where I was like, man, I'd sure like to go do this, and they're like, no, you've got to stay here. I mean,
I didn't want to force you into being a farmer, and I didn't want to scare you away from being a farmer either.
I can do that, Mom.
I like to see Will and Reagan out and riding in machinery and having fun. That, if you can make it fun for them, maybe they'll like it and come back. And they don't have to come back, like you said. I wouldn't. Farming's a lifestyle. I don't know that it's just a way to, like I say, I don't think it's a way to get rich, but it's a good life. You might get rich some days and you'll give it back others.
I was picking up hay with the Ford one time, and I backed up to a bale to stab it, and it died. I let the clutch out too fast, died, whatever. Could not get it to start. And of course, I was half a mile from home, and that was pre-cell phone, so I didn't have any way to call him. All right, what am I going to do here? Cannot start. So I walked home. I finally got home, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I can't get the Ford to start." So I got back on the four-wheeler at the time. We rode up there, and he climbed up in, and he started it. What did you do? And come to find out, you have to have it in the right gear down here. Not the gear shift, but the high-low deal has to be in a neutral.
Yeah.
And there is no N on there, so I didn't know about it. But it was one of those deals where it was, anytime I went with him, it was always started. So I never had to start it.
And that's the difference between the technology and the old stuff, He gets mad because I don't know how to run that monitor and the planter and the combine quite as good as he does.
Piece of 12-gauge wire that runs the choke
but
on the
the old
77, and I can't do that.
He can't figure out how to run that, and that tractor's older than I am. I can start it in my sleep.
He says it's not always easy, but you got what I think he used a few other choice words, but it's not always easy, but you just gotta work it out and go through on.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's worth doing, you just like you said.
And that's the first I knew he didn't think it was always easy, right?
You have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Maybe I made it easier for you.
Oh, was that it? Yeah. So he bought a Jeep, and and we like riding, going off for a Jeep ride, or just driving.
Yeah.
I mean, no in particular place.
Road tripping and see where you end up.
Mm-hmm.
Your butt gets tired and you come home.
Yep.
About says it all.
There's just nothing quite like it. Being a grandma's is just kind of, I'm never going to say being a grandma's better, but in some aspects it is, but you just really, you've got I have my 2 kids, and they're my world, and then they get married, and then they have kids, and it just keeps your worries and your
worries just get more.
Your
more
worries
time,
just multiply, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all good.
Good worry. Well, of course, watching them grow up and become adults, that's just awesome to watch how Zach does so much better job of farming than I did. I mean, he does keep track of the records and does this and that and the other. And does things so much better than I did, and then Taylor is just absolutely turned into, like I said, not the little shy little girl. She just does everything. She's a professional, and so neat what she does and how she cares about things, and just it's a really neat thing to watch. So it really is. And then of course you get grandkids too. That's awesome.
Pretty good.
That's
too.
Awesome.
And then when Zach and Amanda got married, it was, we're coming to your house on Sunday night. It's like, what? It took me a little bit to get used to that, because it's like Sunday night. That's when you go to dinner at Grandma's at noon, and nobody cooks on Sunday nights, and sometimes it's a little slim, but now it's just like it's funny how it evolves.
Feel bad when something happens you don't get to.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, and I just like having them all around.
Oh yeah, it's just all kinds of fun.
Really like that ice cream.
Let's say the things that we both know. Gonna take these words and make them stone. I know a place on the edge of town. Let's make like a tree, grow some roots, do all the things that old folks do. I need you and you need me. What else more could someone need? Let's build a house upon a rock.
A penny saves, a penny earned, but Zach will argue with me about that.
Yeah, I'm going to
Important
say
thing.
money's not everything,
No,
too.
money is
that's
not everything, that's for sure.
Hard times come, hard times pass. I'll be there when the sky turns black. I need you and you need me. What else more could someone need? You've got a key and I've got a lock. Let's build a house upon a rock. Let's build a house upon a rock.
Life's not always fair, but your family is always there for you. Not always fair or easy, but your family will be there. Pretty strong on family.
I need you and you need me. What else more could someone need? You got a key and I've got a lock. Let's build a house upon